Saw this video by Bloomberg Business, Mark Cuban interview, only morons start a business on a loan. And I thought it was kind of interesting because a lot of these guys that are very successful, they take a completely different approach to business. Often they seek out investors, whether it be some guys that are very rich that like their vision. And it has to be a vision that you're passionate about, especially if you're going to be starting a business. And I've noticed that Mark Cuban and Robert Kiyosaki basically have the same sort of approach to starting a business, and it has to do with raising capital from investors instead of taking out a loan. And I think this makes a lot of sense because he was saying also that generally when it comes to a business, it's all about you. And if you're passionate about it, if you're really interested in its success and you're really thinking it through, then you're going to have success. Now, some of you might be thinking to yourself, okay, this guy, Mark Cuban, he doesn't have a normal business. He's just got this massive companies that he's started. He started a broadcast company. I think it was called originally, audio something? Audio broadcast? Let me find it here. Okay, no, it was called AudioNet, and then he changed its name to Broadcast.com, and then he sold it off to Yahoo for $5.7 billion in Yahoo stock. And then because Yahoo didn't know how to integrate it right, they had a lot of issues and stuff. But okay, so you think that's the only kind of stuff he does? And he owned the Dallas Mavericks and turned them around from a dismal record to an NBA championship. But, he actually owned a bar. I think it was when he was in college. He owned a bar. He bought a bar in town. And how did he raise the money for it? Did he go to a bank? And actually, he did. He tried to call a bunch of banks to get loans. And he couldn't get any. I don't think he could get anybody to loan him the money. So, here he is. He's saying that you're a moron if you start a business with a loan. But he was trying to get a loan, but he was in college, so he was new to business kind of. But he ended up borrowing the money from an engineering friend. I think it was an older gentleman who had some money that he loaned him. I think it was, I can't even remember how much it was. Some, tens of thousands of dollars. And he actually turned it into a huge success. The bar was a very huge success, but then he had some controversy with some wet t-shirt contest and stuff. But at any rate, why did the guy give him the money? Because he knew the guy. He knew that Mark Cuban knew his stuff. He knew that he was very focused and he would make it a success. So people around him knew he was going to do something successful with the money. That's why they were willing to loan him the money. And, with a bank, the thing with a bank is that sometimes the bankers don't even understand you. I remember going around trying to get a loan for my business when I first started. And I went to, I think it was like 20 banks. And you know who gave me the loan? It was somebody who actually owned a business before he became a bank officer. He actually owned a business. He had affiliate with the business. It was one of those retool, like where they loan out tools and then they can return them or something like that. But every other dude that I talked to, every other banker, it was like talking to a brick wall because they didn't understand the internet. Because it was way back when, it was like 2000, and it's like trying to explain something like another planet to somebody, because they don't even understand the internet back then. They thought it was all risky and just, they didn't understand it. They couldn't even comprehend it. I remember even one of them was like laughing at me. You're never going to be successful. Yeah, jackass, I was successful. Okay, maybe not a millionaire or something, but I've had a lot of success and made a lot of money online. So I probably paid eBay $500,000 just in fees. I made them some money. Now, actually, I didn't have a business loan. I had a business line, which is a little different. It's where you can keep, paying back, getting the money out any old way. It's not something that's sort of fixed. And I don't know. I kind of agree with him now that I've kind of learned a lot of things over the years. I think if you're going to start a business, you shouldn't use a loan. I mean, he even indicated in this video basically how I'm thinking now. It's like there's so many ways you can make money and start a business that doesn't require any capital now. I mean, particularly on the internet. And I mean, that's where he started making all his money with his broadcast.com. So, I mean, you can start a business with no capital, even though there might be, a little bit of money you need for things. You could easily borrow it from people who trust you. I mean, there's a lot. And you could even just get people to invest in your business. I mean, especially if you have a really great idea. And that's kind of what they're talking about often with these IPOs is they find people that believe in them, that get the passion for the dream like they have, and get them to go in on the company and trust them with their money. So that's where a lot of it is. I mean, here we go right here. It comes down to finding something you love to do and then just trying to be great at it. I mean, this makes a lot of sense. I noticed some of these guys, even Kiyosaki says this, but I think Cuban's kind of like slightly changing what Kiyosaki says. Kiyosaki says, you don't want to work for money, okay? You want to make residual income. Well, yeah, of course, but you have to do something with your time. And so obviously the best thing to do is to free yourself from a job. That's kind of the point of a business, right? And obviously residual income's the best. It's better than having to fulfill orders or something or become some guy carrying a water bucket when you could build a pipeline. Now, at the same time, you want to enjoy what you're doing. You don't want to start a business that you hate. Obviously, you have to have passion in it. So, that's kind of why I'm here on YouTube. I actually enjoy teaching people things. I have other channels. I have channels on my other channel. I talk about. Actually, I got 4 channels right now. I'm gonna probably have 6 or 8 in the end. I'm gonna end up doing one on video games too, a little bit. But right now, I have this one here. It's business stuff. I have another one where I talk about science and alternative science and religion and sort of debates on that type of stuff and conspiracy theories or whatever. And I almost got 10,000 subscribers over there, and the way it's growing, I could easily get it up to 100,000 or even higher. And one of the guys I work with, he's got 200,000 subscribers, and it didn't take him that long. Usually what happens is it just like that. So that's what I'm hoping will happen with this account and my other account, is it'll hit that point and just go boom. And with the guy I'm talking about, he had 100,000 subscribers I think it was 3 months ago, and now he has 200,000. And it exploded. When he hit about 50,000, it just exploded. And not to get on the whole YouTube thing, the point is that you have to do something you love. I like to do this, so I don't mind doing this the rest of my life even. And I think I could make a lot of money with this. I've already got it planned out quite well. So, and then also doing my dropship, I have a residual income plan for my dropship business as well. Right now I have it where I have people selling my product, but I plan on getting it to a point where I give my suppliers to my sellers, and then I make money on the back end so that I'm not directly involved in the process, and then it's more residual. But let's just go through what he has here. Mark Cuban, 12 Rules for Startups. Okay, this is kind of interesting. It has some good ideas in it. Don't start a company unless it's an obsession. You have to really enjoy what you're doing and really believe in it. I really believe in what I'm doing, so I do it. Okay. Number 2, if you have an exit strategy, it's not an obsession. See, I agree with this because I hear these people always talking about this. Yeah, man, you should start a business, make it huge, and just sell it. And get rich, and then just can retire. Okay. I mean, yeah, okay, that makes a little sense. But if you're not obsessed about it, how are you going to build it huge? You have to really believe in what you're doing. And actually, I had someone try to buy me out, sort of. I mean, I have a website that they were offering me. I was thinking they were going to offer me $500,000 for my website because of just based off some numbers I saw on a website they bought from another company. But they offered me. I figured out that what they were doing. They're lowballing me. They're offering me like $100,000. And what they're doing is they're just trying to go. And I actually figured out, hey, I'm going to do this later. I'm doing what they're doing right now. Okay, what they're doing, I'm going to do. What they're doing is they're going around just trying to buy up as many websites on related topics so that they could kind of own a chunk of the internet on that topic. And they weren't willing to pay any real money. They just wanted to kind of lowball it and see if anybody will go for it. That's kind of what they were doing, and they're just trying to gobble up all these websites. And that's what Google and all these companies do, is they just go around buying company websites and try to gobble them all up so they like have some massive ownership. And this was a Christian company trying to do the same thing Google does. And they were trying to buy out my website, which had a pretty big presence. And they only offered me like $100,000. And I'm like thinking to myself, that's bullcrap, man. Because I know I can make this into something bigger. You know, if I really sit down, I can turn this into something 2.0, and I can make it into something really large. So I ain't going to sell it for some lowball number. And you know, so that was an exit strategy in a sense for that website I made, but I figured, you know, they probably didn't believe in what I believed, how much I believed in it, and maybe they would just kind of throw it on the back burner and just not really pay attention to it or really care about my website. You know what I mean? So, you know, I didn't want them to, you know, basically screw up what I created. Okay, number 3, hire people who you think will love working there. I mean, that makes sense. If they don't love it, they're not going to believe in it. They're not going to be part of your vision. Let's see here. Sales will cure all, yeah. Know how your company will make money, and let's see, what does the rest say? How you will actually make sales. Yeah, that might be important. Let's see, what else we got with number 5. Okay. Know your core competencies and focus on being great at them. And pay up for people in your core competencies. Oh my goodness, am I ever going to get this thing right? Okay. Get the best. Yeah. That's Kiyosaki says the same thing. He says, if you're going to have somebody work for you, get the best at that particular competency. Get the best of the best so that you know that it's going to be done right. Let's see, what else we got here? What else does Cuban say? Oh yeah. My goodness, they keep just typing it in. Oh, doing good here. Okay, here we go. An espresso machine, are you kidding me? Coffee is for closers. There are 24 hours in a day, and if people like their jobs, they'll find ways to use as much of it as possible to do their job. So he's trying to get everybody motivated behind his vision. And you know, that's the only people he wants. It makes sense to me, but you know, and it's like, you know, if you think about it, I was just thinking about this earlier about systems. Making a system is where all the power is. Okay? Now, some people just like having a job. So obviously these people are the type that love their job and are behind the vision. Okay? But for you and me, we're into making businesses, and we want to create a system where people will build our business for us. This makes a lot of sense to me. And I think it is with any system. Any system, I wrote it down. Let me find it real quick here. Okay, I was sitting down earlier just trying to think up stuff, you know, and it just dawned on me. I mean, this is something I already knew, but it just kind of really hit me harder, and I saw how it works in everything in life. Systems, okay? The more pure of a system and the more useful it is, the greater amount of influence, money, success you will have, okay? And I mean, 2 companies that are sort of a no-brainer that prove this is Google and Facebook. I mean, do they really do any work? I mean, they're not creating Facebook. You are. You enjoy it. See, he's looking for employees that enjoy their job and are behind the vision. Facebook creates a system to where people want to go on their website and put stuff on there about their kids or whatever. They enjoy it. This is their pastime. They're on Facebook in their pastime doing all this work. They don't think it's work. They enjoy it, so it's not work. You see what I'm getting at? So Facebook capitalized on their passion and turned it into work for them, because now they own this massive website that makes all this money, and then they were able to also set out a public IPO and even make more money. Okay? So I'm thinking this is the case with everything, a system of influence. Like, for instance, on me being on YouTube, I mean, if you're talking about a particular topic and you are the best in that topic, then you'll have a huge amount of success in video, audio, text, whatever you make and you put out there. And so the system is the system of ideas you're presenting. So if I'm really good at understanding how business operates, and I educate you and teach you things you didn't know, or open up your mind and help you to learn things you didn't think of, then I'm providing a system of thought that is successful. And then I'm giving it out to people, and then this expands my influence. You see what I mean? And so it works with everything. It works with your influence and thought. It also works with money as well. And that's number 7 here. No private offices. Okay, and I'm thinking things, you know what I mean? Open office spaces keep everyone in tune with what's going on and keep the energy up. I mean, if you got a closed office space, you could be sleeping in there. You could play video games. You could be doing something with the secretary, you know what I mean? So, I mean, it doesn't keep people accountable to what they're doing, especially if they're not fully motivated. Let's see here. What's number 8? Just typing all this stuff out. Okay, here we go. As far as technology, go with what you know. If you know Apple, use it. If you know Vista, ask yourself why, then use it. See, this makes total sense. You just go with what you're good at. And you hire people that are the best at what they do. I mean, it isn't rocket science, but, you know, we don't really think of this, you know, while we're creating a business or trying to get it running right. If you have managers, because we always, you know, want to hire the easiest or the closest person around us. Oh, my brother, he doesn't have a job. I'm going to hire him for this, you know. And maybe your brother doesn't have a job for a reason. Who knows, you know? maybe he just lost it, and he is really good at whatever he does. But the point is, he has to be good at what you need him for. You know what I mean? I hired my brother because he's really good at working on things. And this was back when I was doing salvage pallets. I'd buy overstock items from the chain stores, and then I'd sell them on eBay. And I hired my brother to go through the product and test it all, and you know, get some pictures, send them to me, and then I just list them, right? And my brother knows how to fix anything, so he was the perfect guy for it. You know, it made perfect sense to me. So okay, here we go. Number 9. If you have managers reporting to managers in a startup, you will fail. When I read this, it reminded me of where I used to work. I used to be a mechanical engineer working at a company called Navistar. And they had managers of managers of managers. And Navistar is, when I was in college, it was the company Navistar was called International Trucking, International, I think is what it was called. And then later they called themselves International Truck and Engine Company. They were the example of how not to run your business. In my book, I was in a class about business, actually, about different businesses, how there's a cycle to a business. Usually it's a 50-year cycle, a successful business. It'll start up, it'll have its peak, and then if they don't innovate, the whole thing was about technological innovation. If they do not innovate, they will die within about 50 years' time. And they used Edison as an example with his direct current, and how he was trying to even scare people not to use alternate current, you know, AC, like when you plug your computer into the wall. And he was trying to scare people and do all this stuff, and nothing worked. His business failed because alternate current was better than direct current, period. At any rate, my point was that the company I worked for was the example for how not to run your business and how to screw up your business in the book. And it showed how their stock was way up here and went down to nothing. And they ended up selling off all these good portions of the business. They used to make, they actually had a truck line. They actually had, the thing that was really successful is it was called International Harvester. They used to make farming equipment. They sold off that part of the company, which was very successful, and then they just kept the semi and medium duty truck portion of the company. And they just kept screwing shit up, man, because they had as many managers as they had engineers. Okay, I mean, they had managers upon managers upon managers, and a lot of the managers, I'm not going to say all of them, but some of them were very brilliant and knew what they were doing. One was named Norb. That dude, when he retired, it took 3 people to replace him. 3 people to replace one guy because he was so diligent and he covered so much ground. And then there's other people that they refused to fire, and they were completely pathetic and in the way. There was a couple of them like that. They ended up moving one guy. He was doing everything wrong. He wasn't doing any work. He's just sitting there. getting a paycheck. They moved him over into some corner where he had nobody below him in bus group, because they actually make buses as well at this company. But they wouldn't fire the guy. I mean, he could have did anything he wanted to. And I heard stories like this from my father when he worked at GM, of people that would come to work and literally sleep and do nothing. Okay, or they would. One guy, he was so ridiculous, he would only come in and work at lunchtime and go home. So when everybody's eating lunch, he would come in and work for an hour and go home. This is the kind of crazy shit that was happening at GM. That's why GM was doing so bad. It's because of crap like that, because the union was so strong that people could just sleep all day and do no work. And of course, if you're just paying somebody for sleeping, it isn't exactly going to help your company. And if you have like managers reporting to managers, that's not a good sign, you know what I mean? Okay, here we go. A sure sign of failure for a startup is when someone sends out logo embroidered polo shirts. I was trying to think of what, he's trying to say with this one. I'm thinking to myself, he's talking about old traditional business that's already failing. I think is kind of what he's getting at, because he never wears a suit and tie. He's always in a shirt, t-shirt. You saw him over here. Actually, in this one, he's got a button-up. Wow. The other one I was looking at, he's just in a literal t-shirt. No joke. And he's getting interviewed on Bloomberg Business. On the other one, it was Wall Street Journal, I think it was. And he's wearing a t-shirt with just like some random shit on it. Just like what you go to Walmart and buy a t-shirt kind of t-shirt. Maybe he doesn't buy at Walmart, obviously, but maybe Tommy Hilfiger. I don't know. Whatever. It doesn't matter. He's just wearing a t-shirt. But I think he's trying to say that, when you're trying to force everybody into some image, maybe some company image, you're not letting any creativity out. You're not letting people be who they are. Because that stuff is irrelevant. What's relevant is, can they do their job effectively? Do they believe in what you're saying? That's what's relevant, not buying a bunch of logo embroidered polo shirts and trying to make everybody fit some sort of silly look and silly, face of the company. Okay, this was kind of interesting. I think some of the stuff is not something people would generally have to deal with, but whenever you see any information related to your field, get the email of the person publishing it and send them a message introducing yourself and the company. This does make sense. I think this would, if you're a small business and you have some serious belief in your company and you want to take it to newer heights, this makes sense to me. A message introducing yourself and your company that will welcome hearing from the founder instead of some PR flack. In other words, like, you have to, if you really believe in your company, you need to be on the forefront leading the company, and you need to get out there and get the word out, and represent your company. And so a lot of it has to do with that. I think instead of trying to hire a PR firm who doesn't really care about your company to represent you. Okay? Let's see here. I think this is longer. Oh, here we go. Keep a pulse on the stress levels and accomplishments of the people and reward them. In Mark's first company, Micro Solutions, when they had a record sales month, he walked around handing out $100 bills to salespeople. And back then, it probably was worth more, But yeah, that's cool. That makes sense to me, because I remember when I was an engineer and they would ask us to invent things for the company. Actually come up with new concepts for a part on a semi truck or whatever, some sort of innovation. And their idea of rewarding people with such a thing was not to give them any portion of the money from such a patent, but instead just to give them a TV or something. And I was thinking to myself, of course, if you're just making some static sales, that's not the same thing, because he's talking about static sales, gives out $100 bills. That's kind of cool. But if you make something that would give the company, save them millions of dollars, you should get a portion of that. Like, if you run a company and some employee helps you save millions of dollars, shouldn't they get like at least 5% of that, or 10% or something? I think they would like the fact they got $50,000 for saving the company millions of dollars. And how many people out there wouldn't want to save your company more money? I'm talking about a big company here, but of course, on a smaller scale, if they save you $50,000, why not give them a couple $1,000 for saving you $50,000 in your small business? You know what I mean? that's a huge motivator for them to find more ways to save you money, to help improve your business, and it gives them motivation behind what your vision too. Okay, let's see. I think that's all 12. Yeah, that's it. Okay, hopefully some of that helped you out.